but with a guaranteed rent company let option, we're going to get professional cleaners in there about once a week at least to service in between guests, and they're going to be able to spot any maintenance issues and so that we're on top of them and the property is kept in good order. The stress level, I've mainly just put this here to make it seem more attractive when people browse the website. Some landlords might be on low stress if they've got good tenants, but it can certainly be a lot higher if tenants aren't paying rent and they're not making enough money from their property and stuff like that. But with a guaranteed rent option from a company let agreement, and it's done right by professional companies like our companies, then stress level is going to be low. They're going to get paid every month, and you'll be a professional tenant in their property, informing them of everything that's going on. And while I'm here, might as well just scroll down. The simple stress-free rent system. So it breaks down the whole process of how the people rent their property to me. We're going to have a discovery call where we explore the best option for their property. If it's SA, great. If it's not, I'll point them in the right direction to get the maximum returns. And then we'll seal the deal, we'll make the plans, sign the agreements, and then we'll move in, get the property staged and ready, and launch it online, ready for guests. And a little sign up thing there. So they are some of the main perks that we can use to bolster our offering when we're talking to landlords. And there are plenty there, and I'm sure you could even think of some more. Can anyone think of more benefits that I haven't covered here? I'd love to add them to my website.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Yerzh. What's up?
Yeah, you're right. What's up, man? I think in terms of the advantages, I think the landlords don't have to pay Section 24, isn't it? Tax. Tax as well.
Only with the management.
They can offset the tax against their mortgages if it's with the company there.
I don't have good clarity on this. I was under the impression that was when they.
Yeah, remember that. Yeah. Before, remember in Stephen interview, that was the same question that was asked regarding, if it depends on obviously what kind of landlord it is. If it's a commercial landlord, then they don't have any issues with it. But if it's a residential landlord, like doing buy to let, then I guess that, then it becomes an issue because they have to obviously, they can't offset their taxes, against the mortgages. So, but with us, if it's a serviced accommodation, they're doing, they're dealing with, then they can at the end of the day. Plus, they can claim a capital allowances as well. So those are the other points.
Right. Okay. Do you have an idea of roughly how much saving that would be for them? Like for an average £1,000 rent property?
£1,000. I don't know top of my head. Depending on obviously how much mortgage there is and how much bills they're paying.
Of course,
It depends on all kinds of factors, but I believe that they're making a loss out of, if they're just, renting out to a normal tenant, or maybe making a little bit of income, but it's not as profitable as, giving it to us, to renters.
Isn't that when you own the property and you do serviced accommodation, or is it with rent to rent as well?
It's rent to rent as well.
Oh.
So as long as the property is being used for service accommodation, they'll qualify for that. Okay.
Yeah, and also you have to also remember that, for rent to renters for us, the great thing is if you want to, avoid paying council tax legally, you can apply for business rates where your first property is going to be council tax free, so you don't have to pay council tax, no business rates, because you're going to apply for small business rates relief. And as long as your second property is a below 2,900 rateable value, you still keep getting the small business rates relief. And I think that for the second property you get like a 50% discount or something like that. So yeah,
Mm.
it's something that you can explore, something that you know, for you to look at.
That will definitely help out with smaller companies who haven't really got many units yet. Because I think it was Carol who was paying council tax for many months, and then I just casually mentioned it in one of our calls that you don't need to pay council tax for first property. But yeah, it certainly a
Well,
golden
the
nugget.
great thing is with the council, I mean, if you tell them, look, this is the date, so you have to obviously apply with valuation office agencies, and you let them know when you actually got the property and when, you know, your business rates will start, you know, the start date. As long as you mention that, I think council tax will reimburse you. They'll reimburse the council tax. So, you know, they'll backdate it since when they paid, and, you know, so it's a win-win either way. But it's good that it's a good chat out, you know. So I think she saved a lot of money, like £2,000 at least.
And with the valuation officer, they decide the amount of council tax you pay anyway. The council just issue what they've told them. So that's why council tax is absolutely fine. But like, for example, where I'm suffering at the moment, because they won't change my property to domestic use, that's why they won't change it. But obviously, if you've just got a normal flat renting, that's why you can pay council tax, because the valuation officers have said that you can pay council tax. The council actually have a say, but they don't really. The evaluation officers actually tell them how much it is. Council's just only middlemen. I found that out the other day.
Yeah, it's the valuation office agency. At the end of the day, dictates whether you should be on council tax or business rates. And councils, they just do whatever, you know, whatever VOA says. It is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're quite right with that. So yeah. So that's why you guys gotta make sure you get it right, so that, you know, you gotta know what you're doing to make sure when you do speak with the VOA agencies and you apply, or, you know, to change it to business rates, you know what you're doing. Yeah.
You can actually research what room rate they've given to other properties in the same postcode before you apply.
Yeah, I think it's called, there's an app called Council Tax Finder. You know,
yeah, I don't know about the app, but certainly for the business rates application, you can search. They'll base it on a per occupancy rate. So when you apply, just tell them they're all single beds, because otherwise they'll apply 2-bed rate to each bed. Otherwise, to tell them they're single beds, and then they will. You'll see in that area what they've, because they'll basically just go on what they've done before. So if they've done 500 quid a bed, like they did in Luton for me, that's what they'll do with other ones as well. So you can pretty much work out what it's going to be. But you're quite right with the backdating. I got 18 months backdated in Slip End. Yeah.
Well done. Great. Awesome.
I got backdated
So,
as well.
so could everybody tell me, like, you guys, how long you've been doing essays for? You have and how many essays you guys got at the moment?
I've got one at the moment. Obviously,
anyone's got two or more?
Yeah, I have 7. Yeah,
7.
but we'll be up to 15 by the middle of next year. Yeah,
amazing. Anybody else?
But mine are all owned rather than rent to rent, which is slightly different. So
okay.
Hi, I've got 4, about to get the 5th one.
Oh, good.
Hi there. Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome.
I've got one, about to get a second one in February.
Awesome.
I've got 1 rent to rent and 2 management contracts.
Yeah, that's awesome. So everyone's got like about between like 2, from 1 to 7, basically, right? So everyone's that's good. I don't know. Does anybody know me by any chance?
No.
From from Instagram, Facebook, I don't know. Like, well, if you guys don't know me by name, my name is Yerzh, and I've been doing essay for like since 2019. And I've got over, how many do I have? Basically 30 plus, I think. 30, 40 now, I'm not sure. But I've got it all over I got it in Leeds, I've got it in Huddersfield, I've got some in London, Southampton, so many in Southampton, Portsmouth. Yeah, and basically I'm at the stage at the moment right now, I'm not looking at making money on SA, I'm looking at saving taxes. The reason why I need to do that is because obviously, when you come to a certain point, you have to consider the VAT taxes, you have to consider the corporation taxes, and that's what most of the companies, like big companies, SA companies, get hit on, because you have to pay 20%. But if you have a good accountant who understands the SA very, very well, then they will be able to help you to navigate and structure your company, or maybe restructure your company tax efficiently. So recently, obviously, I filed my accounts. Obviously, I thought that I was going to pay VAT 20% on my profits, because my accountant said that I do not have to pay the standard rate, whereby if you reach £85,000 limit, on your turnovers, usually you pay 20%. However, my accountant was clever enough to say, look, you don't pay that, you pay it on your profits. So when you reach your £85,000 profits, that's when you start paying your VAT and your 20%. And I was really happy about that, because that means I can get more properties on that single company. And when I reach that, then I can restructure it so I can avoid paying it. Now, obviously, there's a lot of, obviously every circumstances, your financial circumstance is different. But the way I would do it, like I've been speaking to my accountant recently, and I said, how can I, without obviously like artificially splitting the properties or something, like how could I like make sure that I'm not evading it? Because there's a fine line between evasion and avoiding taxes, because I don't want to end up in prison, right? But anyways, so I decided to basically tell him, and he said, what you would do, you then have to like create your brand new company, and you just do location basis. So you can say, look, the reason why you're doing it is because you want to have Southampton properties in Southampton company, you want to have Portsmouth companies that's in Portsmouth, London ones in London, Huddersfield in Huddersfield, and Leeds in Leeds. And you can then like assign each properties to that single company. So then, but the problem is obviously tracking all that and managing all those companies is a little bit, it's going to be hard, and probably going to be hard. And obviously managing them as well, each, bank account, each transaction is going to be obviously tough. However, if you want to avoid it, that's the way basically doing it, legally, I shall say. That's when you reach, maybe 30, 40 properties easily, and another thing that I'm also doing is obviously to avoid it, to like, pay less corporation tax, I should say. I'm thinking of, I've opened my management company up, so that does just managing, and then it all manages all my other properties, every single property there are. And basically my management company will charge like a fee, like 12 to 15%. And then the rest of them will just, distribute the other incomes, across all different companies. So that way you're reducing your turnover on your other companies by 12%. And, and that's another way basically of trying to, paying less taxes. Yeah. But there's literally like, basically, you need to get like, accountants, who you can understand. I can, if you would like to, I can, obviously, send you the links, or send you, my account details, and you can maybe speak to him. And yeah. and for you to save yourselves in taxes in the future, because obviously at the moment you guys got 127, which is fantastic, but later on when you get a lot more than that, then you basically need to think about taxes. Definitely 100%.
So how did you get your VAT on profits? Are you using TIMS, the travel industry margin scheme?
Yeah, that's right. That's how I'm doing it. Yeah. But you know what? There's a caveat to it with the VAT, Toms. It's not where like income minus expenses. It's more like it's how much you get in income minus the direct costs. So when I say direct costs, it's about rents that you're paying to the landlord, your bills, TV license, I believe, broadband, some furnitures, maintaining the property, supplies.
You're quite right, Don. It's Tom's, not Tim.
Yeah, Tom's. Yeah. So it's the direct costs, and then whatever the administration cost, that's not included on the expense on a direct cost. So it's only certain expenses that would go on a direct cost. So when you do that, whatever the value you get, for example, if it's below 85k, well done, you don't have to pay any VAT. But if it's above that, then you have to pay 20% of that.
Yeah, which is a killer. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like imagine £85,000 of 20%. 20% of 85 is what? 17,000 pounds, and you pay that a quarterly as well. So you don't pay that straight away. You just pay a quarterly, like every 3 months. So yeah, choose your accountants wisely. Because I had my friend in Bournemouth. He had his accountant, and the accountant put him as when you reach your £85,000 turnover, you're gonna start paying 12.5% VAT. And he got to the point where he was paying like hundreds of thousands of pounds in VAT. I was like, mate, you gotta switch your accountant. There's something wrong here. But even when he switched to his accountant, and he's still paying VAT, the Toms, but he's paying like 18 grand. Imagine that. Was it 18 grand every 3 months? Yeah, every 3 months. That's like insane.
What's your accountant's name?
My accountant's is Peplos. I'll send you the link, guys. I'll send you
Oh yeah, I put it.
Yeah. Basically. So I guess do you guys also use Price Labs? You guys talked about Price Labs and all that. Yeah, you using that? How are you guys finding it? Nice, good. Complicated?
Too complicated for me, but then I'm old and useless. It's under. I mean, even though I've set, but one problem I have had is certainly with Airbnb. You set a minimum price level, and Airbnb overrides it, and you end up getting stupid low prices. I've had about
I've
had 6 or 7 instances of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting the booking.com ones, man. Though, yeah, you're absolutely right. Because then, with the Airbnbs and booking.com, you have to be careful, because there's a genius level. You'd have to, where you let customers basically pay 10% less. You have the mobile rates and everything. It just adds up, doesn't it? Plus the commissions that you pay to the booking.com, to Airbnb. So that's why I think, as well as that, it's better to have your own direct booking website. I think it's crucial to have it from the beginning so that you can attract the customers directly to your website rather than paying all these hefty commissions, all these promotions, mobile rates, whatever it is, it saves you so much money. Yeah, that also needs to be considered as well. What else is there? So do you guys at the moment have any challenges at the moment with your essays? Any particular, like you got like stuck on something that, like something's not working, or maybe something's like that you want to improve? Sorry. Anyone?
Cleaning management is our biggest challenge.
Cleaning management. How come?
Yeah.
How come?
Well, because they just never do what they're supposed to do, and we end up getting too involved.
Oh, you know what? This is easy. All you do is just get rid of them and get new ones.
Yeah, but that's easier said than done. Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest with you, that's how I did it. I had one company managing the whole Southampton, and it was, for me, it was exactly like yourself. I was like, Jesus Christ, if I fire her, all these flats is gonna go. I don't know where they will go, because she was managing the whole 20 flats.
Oh, okay. We haven't got that. No,
It was crazy.
We've got separate teams in each town. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I had as well. But just for Southampton one, I had one team doing it, and it was so terrible, absolutely. Because the guests would just complain about cleaning. I was like, "What's going on with cleaning?" And she was, "No, I've done it, done this and that. I've been scraping it. I've done all kinds of things." And she showed me a photo. I was like, "All right, no, I don't understand, And then at the end of the day, we got down to the bottom of it and found out, she wasn't doing.
They're skimping. Yeah.
She would just call us up and say, "Look, what else do you want me to do?" She would just, it's like, it was just, how do you say, nightmare with her, And then after, I decided to just okay, that's it.
Do you have a written spec they should stick to?
Yeah, we had everything. We used what we call a software called Turnover B&B, and we had all the checklists from top to bottom, literally. Say, look, this is all the things that you need to do for each flat. And we had a checklist, and we had at one time made it so simple, it was a 12-step process of how to clean the whole apartment. It was studios to 1-bed flats, and she's still been asking so many questions. And I was like, if the way to know who's quality, which cleaners are quality or not, professionals or not, is it's the questions they ask. If they just ask it from the beginning, what's this or that, and then she doesn't answer, just ask me any other questions, and she gets along with it, that's a quality cleaner. But if she keeps asking me after been telling her 10, 15 times, it's a nightmare.
Another tip I've heard is to have them not only follow a checklist, but to require video and photo evidence. So they need to document the main parts, inside the microwave, oven, make sure everything is straight and clean. They show the beds in the picture. That way, if a guest complains about you're not making it clean, you can show Airbnb, or you can show the guest evidence that it was clean just before they checked in, and that would shut down any claims.
Yeah,
we've done that, but the trouble is that we're going around and doing that rather than the cleaner, so that's our mistake.
No, so you have been gone around.
Yeah, so they've been doing the clean, then we go in. That's what makes it a pain, because we're going sort of pre and post check, so it's 2 visits from us for every changeover, which is just, as you do more and more changeovers, there's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah, I think it's better than to do video. Let them do a video of the whole apartment once they've done the clean. That way, they'll send it to you, and have it as a proof then. And then obviously you have to make sure that before they even clean it, just to make sure that there's nothing's been damaged. So you need to cleaners know, listen, before anything, just look around if there's anything been damaged, and if been damaged, then report it to me, and then we'll deal with the guests.
How long do you give them on average? I don't know how many beds your places have got. Ours are quite big. They're sort of 5-bed, 5 baths.
So basically, if it's 5 beds, 5 baths, you have to give them at least 4 hours to clean it.
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah,
4 hours at least, because 2 beds will take about maximum 3 hours.
Yeah,
3 beds would take 3.5 hours, 4 hours. 5 beds, 4. Because for 5 bed and 5 bathrooms, then you probably need at least 2-3 people in it. One person would not able to finish it physically. Flipping out.
No, that's what I've said to them. I said, I'd rather you charge me more and spend longer there and do it properly than go in there, rush like a bloody, like a bumblebee on steroids just to get away again. And I'd probably use a slightly less polite analogy, but that one's good enough for the Zoom call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what? It's better for the cleaners if you charge them, if they charge you hourly rate rather than like one-off rate, because that
Well, they
way,
do. I'm paying them hourly. Yeah, yeah. The one I'm paying 14 quid in St Albans and 17 quid in Luton. It should be the other way around, really. But
good.
well, you think the 17's a bit strong?
Yeah, and another way of finding out whether they've done a good cleaning or not is the guest will complain to you. Oh, the cleaner has. Or if they give you a review like 7 out of 10 on booking.com, you're like, excuse me, but could you just find out, like, could you please give me more information? How come you gave me 7 out of 10? Is there any feedbacks you wanted to give me? Because sometimes they don't, you just put a 7 out of 10. And then they'll give you more answers. They'll give you more feedback. Say, oh yeah, there's a microwave there has got stains, blah blah blah, or there's a plate hasn't been washed or cleaned or whatever. They'll give you some kind of thing, and you're like, then you take that feedback and then you just say to the cleaner, listen, this is the feedback that the guest has given me, and I want you to improve on that and make sure next time this doesn't happen again. That's it.
No, thanks for that. I think the first thing we'll do is give them more time, try and encourage them to spend longer there.
Yeah, and not just that, give them obviously some chances, second chances, third chances for the time. But to the point where if you're going out of the limit now, you've just been explaining to them so many times, and like myself, 20 times. Then you just listen. I think it's time now. Before you actually get rid of them, you find cleaners already, and you just say to them, listen, like, okay, you just show the place around when the other cleaners are not there. To show them around, this is what we need to do. This is how we work. Explain to them, and then agree with the price, and then you just give them the other cleaners like 1 week notice, and then you get the new cleaners in.
Yeah, good.
Because you're not supposed to be doing any cleaning or like checking ups and all that. It's supposed to be automated. You know what I mean?
I was thinking of getting like a sort of I was getting to the stage where I could do with like an Airbnb manager, almost like a cleaning supervisor stroke manager to go around. But if the actual cleaning teams could do it themselves, that would be far more efficient.
Yeah. No, let them do it. No, you don't do anything else because you're paying them anyway. So it's better for them to do it. At the end of the day, you are running Airbnb and your focus is to expand properties. You have to do all the other kind of things. SA business is a proper business. People think it's just like a HMO, but it's nothing like that. Yeah, you get good money, but you gotta work. You gotta work hard. You gotta like automate it. So that system is like so strong that you don't do any of the works. Like everything is passive. But to that level, you need to like really like focus on getting all these kind of softwares, learning about price labs. Then this is like guest communication. How can we improve that? How can we like make sure we get 10 out of 10 reviews? How can we like make sure that the cleaning is like top notch? All these kind of like factors come into place, with SAs. And you know what? Some of the times, like 1-2% of the time, you have nutcase guests. They're like, you have your perfect place, but they'll find some small details and they'll pressure you on that. And they're like, oh, this hasn't been on radiator's so cold, the broadband's not working properly, or something like this. And you're like, the other guests are not complaining about it. How come you're complaining? Do you know what I mean? and I've been dealt with. Good job, because the thing is, I have a personal assistant, you see, I don't deal with any of these kind of problems, like all the guest communication, everything is just been sent to my personal assistant and she deals with it, and if I was dealing with that, bloody hell, I would have a gray hair, you know what I mean? So that's why it's better.
Got it.
VA, exactly. VA, virtual assistants, and you heavily focus on getting a personal assistant. Now, because you guys only got like 1 to 3, 1 to 5, units, you're okay for time being. Because I had my VA and my personal assistant when I had 20 units, so I managed the whole 20 by myself. Like, yeah, but you don't have to do that like me, because I just like talking to guests. I'm a very talkative person, so I just going on about, I'm that kind of guy. But like with you guys, if you're not like, introverts, then I bet when you get to reach like 1 to 5, that's when you got like, okay, you know what? Let me get personal assistant in or virtual assistant. You know, to communicate with the guests, and so that, you know, I can focus now on expanding the property, expanding my portfolio, and
Just a
improve.
quick note on that virtual assistant thing. So there's the way I see it, there's two kinds of virtual assistant work you can get. There's the 24/7 on-call service where they need to be answering guest communications and solving problems when they arise. But the other one is just keeping the business up to date on admin stuff. And that can be work in your own time once a day. It might just be half an hour's work, update spreadsheets and make sure systems are all working right. So that would be a more affordable entry point for virtual assistants for young companies. And it's something I'll be considering in the coming months. It's just to have somebody working for half an hour every day just to do some admin stuff in their own time.
Yeah, Richard at Varvarvoom is very good at that. He they specifically train all their VAs in property skills, so that they would even do some of those 250 calls for if you wanted them. They'll handle that kind of stuff. Yeah, but he probably charges a bit more than getting one yourself. It tends to be between sort of £4 and £6 an hour, depending on quantity. But they are specifically trained. Yeah.
Yeah.
Abroad.
Send me the link as well. I would like to find.
I've known Richard for a while. He used to be one of my tenants actually, but
Nice.
he's a management consultant by it. Plus he does walk the walk. He's got his own top end HMOs and SAs as well, so he understands the property business throughout. Yeah.
Can you just ask, do VAs assist with bookkeeping? Because I think that's one of my weaker areas in terms of.
Yeah, they're all his guys are. And again, I'm not making any commission, but his guys are zero trained. Yeah.
So they're doing bookkeeping, like mileage and all that type of stuff. For example, all Richard does, he just photographs each receipt.
Yeah.
As he spends, and they do all the zero stuff. They allocate it to the whatever you have to do, bloody cost code or whatever. And obviously he reviews it before he submits a VAT return or anything like that. He doesn't just let them, you know, there's a limit on, you know, how much he trusts them, sort of thing. But it's a lot. They do all the legwork, yeah. But I'm just setting up one for me, so we're just. But he lets you interview whoever's going to do it for you as well. They don't allocate the staff as such. You create a short list and you interview them online. Yeah.
It's got to be somebody trustworthy, because you hear of all these, you know, these incidents where people allow somebody with all their paperwork and then there's, you know, some underhanded stuff going on. But yeah, and that's the side for me that's lacking in the training when you're first setting up. It's okay to get the properties and the cleaning and all of that, but it's the actual bookkeeping side of it, because that is very, when it comes to submitting to the accountant, that's when, you know, if you haven't done it from the beginning, it's like, wow, I've got all of this to catch up with now. So
Right.
I think that's what we need to probably focus on more on some of the training courses.
Yeah. Bookkeeping wise, if you have a good accountant, I mean, they'd be able to do bookkeeping as well for you. And as Alistair again, Alistair said, you know, the best thing to do is like take a picture of every receipt. I started doing it where, you know, I put everything on Google Drive and I share it with my accountant. And then what I do as well, just to make sure that I don't have any receipts and all that, I as well send it to the accountant's address, and then they do all the bookkeepings and all that for me. So I don't have to deal with that anymore. That hassle.
I mean, luckily on this occasion, because I've got some that are photographs, some that are paper receipts. The accountant said on this occasion only, bring the receipts in and they'll do, you know what I mean? They'll scan some of the paper ones and whatever, because there's quite a bit to do.
Yeah.
But if you know that from the beginning, do you know what I mean? It just helps you to sort of plan and, you know, get those practices in place.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time you don't get that on training when you're looking with, you know, when you're learning about setting up SA.
Yeah.
Tax issues and that side of it isn't covered until you're sort of halfway down the line.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Because you know, most of the trainers and all that, they teach the half of the stuff, which is obviously making money, how to do SA, setting up and all that. But then at the same time, the other side is obviously how to save money, how to be tax efficient, how to be a tax efficient company. Remember now, if you think about it, look at the budget. It's gone from 19% corporation to 25% next year, 6%. Okay. You have the dividend allowance, which was £2,000. Now you have £1,000 from next year to £500 year after. What else you've got? You've got income tax. I think they've frozen that. I think £12,570, £76, tax free, and then after that is 20%. Dividends went from 7.5 to 8.7565, I don't know, percent, something like that. So like 1%. It's just gone. Everything's just going up and up, and that's why now, especially now with the SAs, you have to be very smart. Like with tax, you just have to be smart. Like, hey, let me save on, like, if your home is your office, because you're obviously paying your bills, your utility bills and all that. You can split it like 3 ways. If it's a 3-bedroom house, you can split it 3-4 ways, and then at least pay some of it back to yourself, because obviously you're using your company, your whole house is your registered address for your company. So your company technically is like using a little bit space of your home to run the company. So there's so that's one way of like looking at it. Just find get your accountants involved and say, look, how can I make sure, like, I don't want to be going down the line and I'm paying 20% VAT on top of the corporation tax, because the 20% of, let's say, £85,000, nobody wants to have that. £17,000 plus the corporation tax you have to pay on top of that 5-6 grand. That's already 20 something £1,000 when you can buy a house for that price. Like a house, like put the deposit on the house. So make sure, accountants are like crucial for the SA business, I believe. And if you start your SA business from like tax efficient point of view as well, I think you're gonna go a long way, because your accountant needs to know what you're doing as well, and make sure that you're telling him everything. Look, I've got this property here, this is how much I'm gonna make. This. The tax accountant can like look at it and go, okay, listen, yeah, that's totally fine. He'll probably say to you, like, okay, that's fine, but maybe there's a risk that you're gonna pay, you might hit your VAT threshold or whatever, So get your accountant involved as much as possible, because at the end of the day, he wants to make sure you are saving taxes, I believe, if he's in your team, if he's doing the, if he really wants to help you out. And I didn't know, like, for example, one thing I didn't know, I thought it was exactly the same with the other company, and this was SA was totally different. So I was collecting all the receipts, where I was, because I'm using, my car, for example. If I'm going to view property there, it's my car's a personal car, but I was using my business card to obviously pay for fuel, So I thought that, because I was, collecting all these fuel receipts, and then he goes around and says, yeah, but fuel receipts, you don't count that. It's like, it's not gonna, we have to claim on the mileages, not the fuel receipts. I was like, yeah, but my other company was like doing it. It's like, yeah, but this company, we can't do it, unfortunately. So I was like, oh shit. So I had to get all my, good job, I had the mileages written down as well. I just sent it to him. So I saved like.
We've been there too. You've got to claim mileage. The receipts are pointless unless you're aware of, they give you a certain amount allowance per mile.
Yeah, they do. So first 10,000 miles at 45 pence, and then after 10,000 miles it's 25 pence. So yeah. So I claimed it.
You can claim actual cost if you want to. It's an either or. It's not that you can't claim actual costs, but very, very rarely are actual costs, well, until recently, and very rarely were actual costs more than 45p a mile. But if you actually want to use the old scheme, I mean, depends how many miles you do, because the problem with the mileage is you can't claim the depreciation on the car, whereas if you claim actual costs, you can claim the depreciation. So on my Audi, for example, we claim actual costs, and on the vans we claim mileage. So you can choose whichever scheme suits you better. But you're right, in 90% of circumstances, the mileage rate works out better.
Yeah, it
So
does.
if there was more valuable vehicles, then it's best to go with the actual cost.
Yeah, you just whichever's better for you. You can't chop and change. So you can't go 1 year 45p and the next year you'd have to be consistent. But yeah, you can. It's a straight choice. You can choose. Yeah. But obviously, you've got more accounts to keep if you're going to claim actual costs. But it's not that bad. You're keeping all your receipts anyway, so it's not really that difficult. But the
yeah. What else was there? What else? That was yeah. Basically, as well as that, I mean, I'm trying to get obviously electric car for my company because I don't have to pay, you know, the whatever it's called, the tax. You have to pay tax on the car as well. But then my accountant says, look, if you buy an electrical car, you don't have to pay the taxes. So I'm just finding a solution whether I should get Tesla, maybe, I don't know.
yeah, you get 100% year one write-off.
Yeah, that's right, something like this.
Whatever the value of the car is, you can offset as a capital allowance in 1 year. Yeah, but because they get it back, because it's not. It's like everything. It's not a free gift. They'll take it back from you when you sell it.
Yeah. So I was thinking of doing it on the hire purchase, you know, rather than like buying it outright.
Yeah, no. Well, as long as you buy it on hire purchase, what you couldn't do is get a lease. Because if you get a lease, you don't own the car.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
You can't claim the value against as a capital allowance. But if you take a hire purchase or one of these options agreements that they have nowadays, then you can. Yeah. So it's fantastic. Actually, you'll save more in tax in the first year's payments. If you buy like a 100 grand Tesla, you're talking about 25 grand tax saving in one. Because you only save, you've got to make that much in profit, of course. So
that's right.
Can you just repeat that? So if you hire, say for example,
if you take it, this applies to any vehicle. It's just on pure electric. It doesn't apply to hybrid. It's got to be all electric.
Yeah, all electric.
Yeah, you can get 100. Basically, they treat it the same as a van. So with a van, you get 100% of the full invoice cost back as a capital allowance in the first year. But the beauty with capital allowances, you choose when you use them. So say, for example, you bought a new, I don't know, £80,000 Tesla. You don't have to use that 80,000 in 1 year. You could take it in 4 slices of 20,000 over 4 years if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But the problem is when you sell the car, this is what most people forget about this scheme. They think it's so wonderful. And if you look at the examples that the manufacturers run, they assume you're never going to sell it. But if you sell it in 4 years' time for say 40,000, then they will apply what they call a balancing charge, and effectively take that allowance back.
So basically, you're saying they never sell it.
Well, that's the only way you'll keep the 100% allowance. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
But the fact is, say for example, you do get rid of it in 4 years' time, you'd probably buy another one. So you still get a bit from the dealer. So say you bought another one for 100 grand in 4 years, and that one was worth 40. The balancing charge wouldn't matter because you'd still get another 60 grand allowance on the next one. If our wonderful Mr. Hunt hasn't changed the rules by then.
Yeah.
Probably will have done. So I think if you're going to do the electric car thing, you ought to do it quick.
Yeah, 100%. Because the hybrid ones are like they charge you like 1%, I believe. I think 1-2%.
Well, that's it. They've just started increasing it, but up until now, you have to pay. Because obviously, if you claim a capital allowance, the car becomes the asset of the company, not you.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to pay a benefit in kind on the use of the car. That's right. And on a petrol or diesel car, the benefit in kind is just mad. That's why it's not worth doing it.
Yeah,
but, it's something like 25% of the retail price a year. It's just mad. But on the electric, it was only 1% of the retail price, but they're pushing it up to, I think, 6% over the next 4 years or something like that. But it'll still be very good. I mean, don't worry about that part of it. It'll still be really good. I mean, even at 6%, it's only going to be a benefit of 4,800 a year on an 80 grand car. So it's only going to be 960 quid in personal tax. So it's still, don't worry about that, the benefit in kind. It's the good thing is that 100% year one write-off. Yeah.
Mm. Are you ex-accountant then yourself, Alistair?
No, I've got a lot more grey hair. I've been in business 35 years. So you pick these things up. You know, once you start earning enough money that you start to worry about tax, then, as you say, your time is well invested in saving money rather than always making it.
Yeah, you're right. Do you consider, for example, like getting an insurance as well? Like, you know, where accountants offer you, for example, if there's any tax investigations, like where it saves you, you know.
Yeah, I have it. But I'll tell you, a cheap way of getting it is to join the NRLA, the National Residential Landlords Association. It's
That's
about
right.
100 quid a year, and they include that.
Really?
Most accountants will charge you 300 or 400 because 70% of the premium is for them.
Yeah.
100%. That's why they push it.
NRLA, yeah, I know. Okay, I'm gonna go on that actually. There's so many things you can claim.
I'm not sure whether they would cover a claim for service accommodation though, because they might say it's an activity out of their remit. It might be a bit of a grey area. You need to check it with them, I guess.
Yeah, because it's more for residential landlords and like landlords.
Yeah.
BTL, yeah.
I can't remember the limit, but I think it's quite a generous limit. It's something like 10 or 20 grand or something. In effect, they will cover your accountant's fees in fighting the investigation. Effectively, yeah.
Awesome.
They won't cover any tax that's due.
No. Of course,
but they'll cover the fees. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you buy?
I mean, depending on the size of the investigation, 20 grand might not go very far nowadays. But
yeah. Well, but it's still something than nothing.
A decent accountant will want 200, 250 an hour to fight an investigation. So the 20 grand won't take long.
Yeah. All right.
So are all yours rent to rent, or did you buy some?
Nah, all of them are mine. Rent to rents.
Rent to rents. Well, good for you, though. You've used a strategy to build the business quickly. Yeah, so it's good use.
I'm paying the same amount of rent, I'm making the same amount of money with, you know, sorry, what was it? I'm paying the same amount of like rent. I'm making the same amount as I'm paying the rent. Sorry, that's it. Sorry.
Yeah, you're making the same margin
like,
as when you pay rent or a mortgage, yeah.
And then I'm making a profit about 4 grand. So it's a win-win.
No, I agree. Yeah.
So there's no point owning it, you know.
Well, there is in the long run. There is. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't have the equity I've got if I hadn't ever bought anything. But
yeah, definitely. But yeah, I would love to, you know, to do like conversions as well. Well, like you have like a house and you convert into flats, kind of sort of thing.
Yeah.
Those are like good capitalizations. It's good.
Well, that's it. You need to reinvest your profits in something. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Don't go spending it all on Teslas.
Nah. One Tesla and then Bugatti, isn't it? Yeah. Is everybody? Is anybody else wants to join this conversation? Like Fiona, Dawn, Lucy, Carol, Nasima.
Nasima had a question actually. She put it in the messages. She says, "Could you ask Yerzh? She's at work. Is it worth paying an accountant money to do their numbers, transferring a house from a personal name to a limited company's name? And how much is a fair payment?" Because she got a quote of £3,000 to do that transfer.
Wait. So what's the question again? Sorry, what's the question? So
is it worth
transferring what?
As in, is it worth the money investing in an accountant to transfer the ownership of the property from a personal name to a company? Like, what would be the tax?
I mean, she needs to, Nasima, what you need to do, you need to speak to your accountant, and because it's, your financial circumstances, isn't it? So you have to, because you have to like delve into it, looking into it. Some people like to have for some people it's tax efficient to have it in your personal name. For some people it's better to have it in a company name. It's everybody else is different, you know, so it's a case by case scenario. You know, I can't say to you, for example, now, like, go and change it without knowing full information about your portfolio, what you're doing, you know, how many, you know, properties you have in your own name. So it's very hard for me to answer that, unfortunately. But
yeah, be very, very careful if there's only one property.
Best way is to 100%. If an accountant says, listen, it's better for you to transfer it to your company, then 100% pay the accountant and transfer it. Because in the long term, probably you'll say, in the long term, you're going to save this much money. In the short term, you might save this, or you're going to gain this, or whatever. So it's because you have to look at the business, this whole property, you know, as a long-term game, not short-term. Short-term, yeah, you make money like £5,000, that's fine. But you have to look at the long-term, you know, like 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, you know, because, you know, you don't want your business to last only 2-3 years. You know, you have to always adapt, you know, with all the information, like in terms of the in terms of the legislations, because there could be a point where, just like in Scotland and Wales, we're going to have to apply for a license, you know, with serviced accommodation. That could happen, you know, at any moment, because the government wants to control it, obviously, you know. They don't want it to be, you know, everybody making money out of, you know, their homes and all that. Obviously, there will be some point where they will try to control this whole thing. But before they control it, we just need to make sure that, you know, let's make as much money, and let's just once we set up correctly, and we can just go along with it. Whatever the changes the governments are making, you're still gonna be up to date, and that you're just gonna run smoothly, you know, rather than just like, you know, being all over the place and not knowing. Because this is the good thing, you know, that Don is doing, which is like every 2 weeks, you know, we have a meeting and discuss, you know, because every 2 weeks, you know, the whole, you know, there's something new comes about, you know, and we all need to be up to date and stay updated, you know, with all the information. 1 year ago, you know, it was so different to now, you know, the taxes were different, everything was totally different a year ago. Now it's like, you know, there's new game, you know, there's new ways of playing this serviced accommodation, you know. So and everyone, I like about it, serviced accommodation is not just like you know, business. It's like, this is the formula, go and do it. Everybody, you have the formula, but then it's everybody's taste in how they want to run the business. You know, one person has VAs, the other one has personal assistants like myself. One does this, the other one does that. It's beautiful. But we just want to, you know, make sure that everybody, what they're doing, just like adding value, and that, you know, if one person is doing it this way, maybe we have the chance to maybe, you know, look at it and go, maybe this is the right way. Maybe for me, let me try and test and see this. Everybody has different channel manager. I have Evivo. You know, everybody else has like Guesty. The other ones have up listings and all that. So, you know, it's interesting. You know, interesting.
I got a question for you.
Yeah, go.
What are your thoughts on the ethics of renting a property, taking the supply from the residential market to rent on short-term rentals? Because that drives the prices up for people who want to have homes, and may lead to more homelessness. If you take Dublin, for example, where there's been a boom in rent to rent, and then it's created more homelessness because there's less supply.
Yeah, ethics wise, well, everybody wants to obviously make a little bit more money than they are currently earning. I don't know about the ethics, but, you know, if you look at it, for example, the economy right now, the living cost has gone up. You know, everything is expensive. I don't blame the landlords, or I don't blame the renters on you know, making money, because, you know, it's all about the ethic. It's about how to survive. And if the person has no choice but to survive in this business, he'll do anything. You know, it's just the way it is. You have to, you know, if you want to survive, you just have to fight. And just, if you need to, for example, this is nothing to do with the ethics, you know, that's what they get it wrong. You know, ethics, because the fact that it has affected the amount of people that's homeless. Yeah, I understand that there are obviously consequences, however, you have to also look at the economy, the living costs. Everybody wants to try to survive. There's always going to be winners and losers, unfortunately, in this life. It's not going to be everybody going to be a winner and everybody's going to be a loser. There has to be a balance. So if the government wants to sort, if for example, if it comes to in England where, obviously in England, everybody's taken on rent to rent right now, and I don't blame them, but at some point, as I told you, there will be a point where, you need to apply for a license, and that's what they're trying to do, trying to, control this SA market. And that's what's going to happen with England. And when that happens, we'll see, what it's going to be like. But this has nothing to do with ethics at all. It's just I don't know where you have got an idea, but I think his media is always trying to say, oh, it's the ethics of homelessness. But people will always find a way. I say it's just that it's on your person. If you say I'm homeless now, I don't have it, well, do something about it. Like move to another country then if you have to. It's England, or go to somewhere else. I mean, there's always, because it's 21st century, you got mobile phone, you can have friends or maybe family, and you try and get some money, loans or something like that, and try to do something. I mean, I say to everyone, don't sit still, I mean, we've got 8 billion people in this world, like surely there's so much money, and the government have printed so much money last year, like 7-8 billion. No, wait a minute. How many billions? 200 billion, 300 billion pounds? There's so much money. There's so much money out there.
Yeah. Also, you've got to remember, John, it's not you that's causing the rents going up. It's the government deliberately restricting the supply of housing and attacking the landlords constantly at the same time that's caused the rents to go up. I guarantee you there's far more residential landlords have jumped out of the business than amount of properties that have been turned into SAs.
Mm.
I mean, something like 13% of all small landlords have left the market completely since Section 24 alone.
Yeah,
and that's what caused the problem in Dublin. Because remember, Ireland introduced their equivalent of Section 24 years ago. Yeah, that's where Osborne got the idea from. He pinched it from the Irish, and it was so disastrous at reducing the supply of rented accommodation that they backtracked on it.
Yeah,
which I suspect will happen here to a certain, if they ever do it that way.
It's at the end of the day, it's the government.
Yeah,
nothing with us. Nothing to do with us.
Yeah, they chose to attack the small landlords consistently. They're the ones, trying to basically switch the market to their mates. Lloyd's Bank is forecast to be the biggest single residential landlord within 5 years.
Yeah,
they are pouring billions into build to rent because that's the hidden agenda. That's what the government want. They want to corporatise the letting. I don't know why they think that will be a panacea, because I can guarantee you Lloyd's Bank's not going to come round and fix the block toilet as quickly as a private landlord. And
even Airbnbs are offering landlords, a guaranteed rent as well. So Airbnb is trying to take as much property as possible.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Well, what happened to mine basically? I don't know whether basically I've heard this from my other friends as well. Saying but basically what happened was that my other because I'm setting up a care home as well, my second care home, and then this landlord basically landlord's lettings agent got approached by an Airbnb, and they offered good rent on it, and then my lettings agent have told me about this, that the Airbnb wants to basically have this property, and then he obviously wanted to give it to me, and because I've been waiting for it 3 to 6 months, and he said, look, if you increase your rent, we'd be able to give it to you. And this Airbnb was offering them a month's rent plus 6 months of deposit up front. And I was like, crazy. And I was like, shit. But luckily, I paid not 6 months, but 3 months of deposit. But I had to pay at least 45% more on rent to secure that property. Because the Airbnb was trying to as Airbnb. So yeah. So the Airbnb is coming as well.
I didn't know that they're acquiring properties now.
Yeah, they are. If you go on, I think they've sent an email to us recently. But if you go on Airbnb, there's an article about them acquiring properties. They've got some program there saying that this is our Airbnb. They don't own it; they just rent it out. They do rent to rents, just like us as well. Crazy, but yeah. So you got Lloyd's Bank coming in that way and that side, and you got Airbnbs coming from this side. It's like, it's no brainer for the landlord, to choose Airbnb over us, because over normal tenants, imagine the Airbnb coming to you and say, look, we're gonna offer you £5,000 per month rent, every single month guaranteed. Who doesn't want to take that 4-bedroom house, rather than having tenants, at each bedroom, paying £4,000 a month? They just go like £5,000. There we go. Done. So yeah.
Although the government's language on this potential Airbnb licensing, it's been interesting to listen to, because they've quite watered it down. If you notice, when Gove spoke the other day, he talked about licensing only in holiday hotspots. So they're not looking at doing any sort of national scheme, or not going to encourage authorities outside of the hotspots. So they're taking quite a light touch towards it, actually.
Yeah, like Cornwall, Bournemouth, those kind of particular areas. Yeah. Yeah. Because London has 90-day rule, but then but that only applies for Airbnb. Remember. And like on Airbnb, there is an option where you could, because you need there's some sort of like planning permission basically from the council stating that you can run it, more than 90 days. So like the Airbnb has an option there. If you have they don't even ask for the planning permission. They just say, look, are you permitted to, run it as more than 90 days? And then you just click on yes. It automatically disappears. Now you can run the Airbnb for the whole entire calendar year. Like, is that it? That's your 90-day rule? It's crazy. I was like, I don't know what people was worried about 90-day rule. There's no such thing as 90-day rule in London. If you just apply it correctly. Crazy. Yeah, it's interesting.
I suspect they will introduce licensing into London, though, because they won't be able to resist sort of nicking 1,000 or 1,500 quid off every flat.
Yeah. It's actually going to be much better if they do, introduce it, because then that will give us so many amateurs. So we can just concentrate on the professionals, professional people like us,
It depends how overzealous they are, because the HMO licensing has been nothing but hell ever since they started it. It's like you're not free to run your own business. I've had another inspection today, and he's running around, whinging about the slightest of things that's wrong. It's just, it's just ridiculous. It's like being treated like a 4-year-old.
That's right. The thing is, councils, I don't like dealing with them at all. It's so, bureaucratic. You just after one thing, it's you have to send them so many documentations, and then over and over again. They ask you the same exact question over and over again, and that's why.
That's because they're all trying to justify their own job. It's because they don't actually produce very much. So one way of producing more is to ask you the same thing 3 times over.
Yeah, exactly. And when you do send them the documents, it's like, oh, we haven't received it. Could you please send it again? And you send it again, and then 2 weeks later, like, oh, we haven't received it yet. So yeah, but I sent it to you.
Also, the local authorities thought the HMO licensing would be a massive money maker. Actually, I think they're losing money. I was really surprised when I looked at the St Albans register. There's less than 20 properties on it now, and they've got 2 full-time people in the department, so they must be losing a fortune. It must be costing them 100 grand a year for the 2 staff and the overheads to run the department, and they're only collecting 20 grand every 5 years. So I think they've kept. And St Albans is not a small town; it's 100,000 people. So in fact, I haven't had time yet, but it'd be interesting to look around at other HMO registers and see how much they've shrunk. Actually, because they're public documents, but I've always had better things to do for the last couple of weeks. But I will have a look. It'd be interesting to look at bigger towns like Stevenage and see, how many HMOs are actually left.
Interesting. Probably not many.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it's dropped back. It can't only be a St Albans factor, can it?
No. So yeah, I don't know what the future is gonna be, but hopefully, SA is gonna be.
I think certainly Airbnb and Booking think there's going to be huge growth still, don't they, in the SA market? I mean, they think we're only scratching the surface at the moment.
No, it'll be interesting to see in the next 2-3 years the SA industry. Certainly is going to be interesting.
Many great things to come.
Many things.
I hope so.
You know what? The HMO, man, this HMO, Article 4 areas where you can't have HMOs or,
Article 4 direction, yeah.
Yeah, all this. I don't know why government has to make it hard for us. I don't know. Hard for the landlords.
Well, because they assume that people who live in HMOs don't vote, and on the whole, they probably don't. And so they might as well look after the ones whinging about the HMOs in the hope that they will vote. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's why they're anti-landlord, because everyone's basically all the three political parties are all fighting over the same voters. They all want to be the friend of Generation Rent, basically.
Crazy.
I mean, the interesting one is the Tories, actually. I mean, it is strange how they've chosen to attack landlords so much, considering on the whole, you'd have thought majority of landlords were probably Tory voters. So I'm not sure whether it's really stacked up for them.
Don't think so. Yeah, very interesting.
Right, guys, we've run a bit over time. We've had 90 minutes. I feel like there's
how many minutes?
What's that? 90-minute session.
The time has gone so fast, I thought it was only 8 o'clock.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Did everybody had fun?
I had fun.
Nice.
Really interesting, actually. I think I've learned quite a bit this session as well. So, yeah, thanks everyone.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for coming, everyone.
Would you guys want to have me again?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
I have to do it properly, I've been it's just I came on, and then obviously Don told me to do a presentation today as a guest speaker, and I wanted to do it, but then obviously I've got so many things, bloody thing, because I'm always working 24/7, I'm always constantly thinking new ways, all the kind of things, but definitely one day, God willing, I will maybe next year, well, January probably, I'll do a guest, I'll do a presentation on the whole thing, and yeah, see how it goes.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Good.
Right, everybody, we'll end it there.
Thank you.
Again, thank you very much for coming. It's been a pleasure.
Don, thank you so much, my friend. You've been amazing, man.
Thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you soon, guys.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Is anybody going to the meal next week? AFL Christmas meal?
I'll be there.
You going? No problem. All right. See you Wednesday. Whoever's going.
Bye.
See you later.
Yeah, I'll be there.
See you there.
Bye.
Bye.